This is interesting. I think everybody gets sort of overwhelmed with economic talk about salaries and sports, salaries in general. I mean, honestly, I think this is probably, I know it's hard to project NFL players and NFL salaries onto the rest of us, but I think some of what goes on with all of us is kind of in play here. And that is, you know what? I measure myself against that person. I measure myself against that salary. It's about other people and the constant comparisons. I think we all can relate. So there was a setup, I think, to try to give more people an appreciation of what happens and how these players and how these things play out publicly when it comes to these salaries. Giant numbers that are mind-numbing, right? But I'm going to try to bring it back to all of you because I think most people do operate this way. I think it's a mistake. I'm going to probably go counter to every single person. But I do think there is a way that I can make this where people relate to where some of these players are coming from. So a lot of what you hear from players, and I would say this, media too, most of my industry jumps in and fights the same kind of way. And so most of what you hear about these giant contracts is not just about the money, not even mostly about the money or even about the team. What it's really about is I want more than that guy. I deserve more than that guy. As I said, 99% of us, I would say sitting in a cubicle, but we don't do that anymore. So sitting at home in our underwear, we think all the time, I want more than her. I'm more valuable than her. It's just, I would say we get consumed with it. I think media and players are not consumed with this kind of mentality. And I'm going to applaud one NFL team for saying, no, we're not going there. We're going to draw a line. No. So it's really about I deserve more than that guy. So my industry does this too. I mean, big time. It really is about, it's not about the money. It's not about the team. It's not even about the performance. It's, well, I'm going to compare you to that guy. And that is, he's better than him, so he's more deserving of the money. Every big deal in the NFL over the past couple of years, Russell Wilson, Dak Prescott, Kyler Murray, Kirk Cousins, I can go down the list. And now, most importantly, the one that is kind of the signature moment of all this stuff and all this arguing about salaries and what you deserve or don't deserve and all that stuff, the bar has been completely, I would say, set, but it's been obliterated by the Deshaun Watson contract. That contract started the domino effect by owners and media saying, if he got that, then this guy deserves this. That's what's going on. Okay? And I don't think any of us are immune to that. In fact, we probably would admit, and more times than not, we get consumed with the other person and not the job description and what it's worth by itself. But it's not that simple. It shouldn't be that simple. Right? This whole story of Lamar Jackson and my entire industry, almost daily, almost hourly, saying, well, so-and-so got that, so he needs to get this. How about an organization saying, you know what? We're not stupid like they are. What's wrong with that? I don't know. Maybe there's some kind of, hey, fight the man kind of thing, kind of fight the company kind of thing. I'm cool with that. But this is really about, if he got that, then this guy deserves this. And then you like stick your ego in there so much as a comparison, it just becomes almost an obsession. It's not that simple. It shouldn't be that simple. Quarterback is the most valued position in all of sports. It used to be starting pitchers in baseball. Right? That was it. I mean, you could, if you ask anybody, you draw a circle around the most important position in all of sports. It was, for most of my life, people would say a starting pitcher in baseball. Now it is clearly undeniable that it's the quarterback. Nothing else and nobody else is talked about in the same way. I don't care about on the world stage for soccer. There's not a position that dominates the game and the conversation and the money like quarterback in football. Just doesn't. It is it. I mean, it's the position now. I think almost to a fault, but you're going to think I'm crazy. So it's quarterbacks, and I'm going to argue with you that in everyone I'll argue with, in most cases, the position is overvalued. Crazy, right? Jeff, you just said it is the most important position in all of sports. The ball is in your hands every play, and it is a $100 billion industry. Every single play. How can you say it's overvalued? Because it's overvalued. There. That's how I say it. I don't blame the players. Any one of us would try to get all we could. No doubt. Value is, of course, what someone is willing to pay. Owners of NFL franchises, again, I think caught up in desperation. I think caught up in ego. I think caught up in the same thing all of us, including my industry, are caught up with, and that is comparing my guy against that guy, my guy against that guy. I think they're the ones guilty of overvaluing the position. I don't know all the ingredients that go into overvaluing the position, but everyone in my field will disagree with me on this. It is mostly overvalued. I'd say mostly, I would say almost exclusively overvalued, except for a couple of guys. That is Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow. Other than that, I think it's pretty much overvalued. I think you spend too much and get too little. I think you waste a lot. And I'm saying all this because there's this fight, this argument, this issue of respect, this issue of now people are saying collusion, people are now saying race, people are saying a lot of things instead of somebody owning the fact that, you know what? It's not worth the risk, man. What's so wrong about a team saying it's not worth the risk? The money is so outrageous to most of us, we can't see past it. Lamar Jackson is the story of the day, outside of Aaron Rodgers and that's a story because he's just a nut and everyone's kind of into it and it's got that drama that everyone likes. But this Lamar Jackson thing, to me, is really about economics and about the reality of a pretty smart organization saying we're not going to make the mistake of other people. We're not dumb like the rest of them. We're not going to overvalue. I'm not going GameStop or Bitcoin. Well, Bitcoin's doing well. Let's see. Dogecoin on us. So Lamar Jackson reportedly has an offer of something like $133 million for 3 years. Now, again, I know you're going to say that money is crazy. How could anyone turn it down? Forget the money. It's a $100 billion business. They are underpaid. Okay? It's just how you want to allocate the money. It's a smart offer. I'm saying it's a smart offer, and the rest of the sports and media world is saying this is outrageous. Why are you mean to the guy? What do you mean mean to the guy? It's crazy money, I know. NFL is a $100 billion industry. It has $100 billion in media deals. The money is there. You can spend it all you want. I mean, you can blow it, and I think a lot of teams are. My argument is they're blowing it on quarterbacks. My point is that he can't accept and probably won't accept the deal because in his mind, he's more valuable than Deshaun Watson. He pretty much says it all the time. That's all people like to talk about is, well, he's more valuable than that person. Well, what about the value to the organization itself? This is what's lost in this entire discussion. And I never hear anybody give the Baltimore Ravens any credit. All I hear is they're mean and their feelings, you're hurting his feelings and you don't respect him. Maybe they're just being smarter than the rest. Maybe they don't want to act like the Denver Broncos. Maybe, just maybe, they kind of agree with me, and that is, I can't pay you for 5 years from now when you're hurt most of the time. I can't invest in crypto when I can't trust it. That's it. Doesn't mean my feelings towards you. The guy's a great player when he plays. Okay, that's sort of like saying the stock does great when the profits are good. Yeah, thanks for that. He's a league MVP. He can't tolerate the idea of getting less than a guy who hasn't played in 2 years. Any one of us would react the same. Your feelings would be hurt. If you thought somebody in the office, well, we don't have offices anymore, do we? Well, somebody works for the same company and they're in some other city in their underwear too. You wouldn't like it. Of course you wouldn't like it. You'd probably get obsessed with it. I'm disrespected is the argument. So here's the story that's out now. Lamar Jackson does not have an official agent, but the star quarterback apparently has at least one person working on his behalf while he navigates through an uncertain offseason. Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk was told by multiple sources that a representative who is not certified by the NFL Players Association has contacted more than one team on behalf of Jackson in an attempt to spark negotiations. You probably don't care about this, but just so you can appreciate the business of football. So that's not really legal, okay? It's sort of like somebody's friend is calling you up about some stock tips. It's sort of like what the Attorney General in the state of Texas did when he's not really licensed. Sell stuff when you're not licensed. It's kind of, it's a bad look. It's kind of deceptive. That's what goes on here. So the Players Association, this dates back to my days of playing when people were involved with organized crime members, drug deals, anybody's brother-in-law, so they negotiate a contract. So the Players Association thought, we've got to find a better way to help our members, players, have better representation. And all this was a fallout from the 80s and all the sliminess that went on there. And so they then started mandating, and I don't know what all goes into it. I have friends that are agents, but what all goes into it, you have to actually be registered with the Players Association. You sort of have to have a license to be able to represent these players. It is the Players Association gatekeeper to make sure that the players are not getting duped. Okay? NFL teams, I don't know the exact rule of what would happen. They are in agreement, only supposed to be negotiating with those that are licensed and sanctioned by the Players Association. So this is a bad look for this guy. This is not okay. I know most people, again, about feelings, but this is not the right way to do business. Having somebody calling around who might be registered, who might not be, who nobody even knows, it's not okay. It's just not the way to do business. That's how the business works. In fact, what's amazing is, and this is what I would tell any one of you or anyone you know, and I used to tell my students, don't say you want to be an agent. You're crazy. There are more registered agents than players that actually make money. Don't do it. Don't do it. You're going to be chasing players who are never going to sign with you and are never going to make money. Don't do it. Stay away, kids. Go do some coding or something else. Don't do this. But there are plenty of people that are registered to practice. They practice in good faith. They represent the contracts. They have standard agreements with the Players Association. There are rules in place about who it is that's supposed to be negotiating for you. That, by the way, is put together by the players. Lamar Jackson's industry is the one who said, if we're going to be represented, we want to make sure who's representing us. And he's doing just the opposite of that. I don't know why it's wrong to call this guy out. No one ever wants to call him out and say, hey, man, don't do this. Don't operate this way. And shut up. Just shut up. If you don't want to take the deal, don't take the deal. Sit out. So he has somebody apparently calling around saying, hey, look, here's what we'll do. I assume, I don't know the answer to this, I assume he doesn't want to pay the 8%. I don't blame him. I believe out of college, he did his own deal coming out of college, which is fine. He and his mom can do that. I guess they can do that. I don't know if she's registered or not. But he doesn't want to pay the money. Don't pay the money. But you can't have some friend of a friend of a friend start making phone calls. Good luck with that. I think we all know how that works out. The representative has reportedly informed teams that Jackson is not seeking a fully guaranteed contract, though there is a belief that Jackson could be asking for up to $200 million or more in guaranteed money, even if he technically is not insisting on the entire contract being guaranteed. Okay, that's believable. I'm sure he wants to get it all guaranteed. I'm sure any one of us would like a deal like Deshaun Watson's when somebody is dumb enough to pay us for the next decade guaranteed money. Yes, get it. I wouldn't do it. His employer isn't going to do it. His employer is saying, let someone else do it. Okay. My point is, why is it so wrong that his employer, who's offered him 3 years, have I not done the data on why these are bad investments? It's not going to work out long term. It doesn't work out long term. But Mahomes, I said there's an outlier. There are two of them. There are two of them which justify overspending and giving long-term contracts. Everyone else, you're just going to throw away money. It's going to backfire on you. And the Baltimore Ravens, here's the thing about the Ravens. Cowboys fans can appreciate this. The Cowboys are the Kardashians. You know everything all the time. It's overplayed. It's overdramatic. They spend. They brag about spending. They're all out there, right? All out there every day. No one can say anything about the Ravens. You don't know the owner. You don't know the GM. You don't know anything about them. You know why? Because they don't do business that way. They don't. And the guy, by the way, running the Ravens, what's funny is for all the criticism the Ravens are getting for not being sensitive to this player's feelings, the guy who runs the Ravens is a Hall of Fame player himself. He's no fool. In fact, he's brilliant. But he operates the opposite of the Dallas Cowboys. The owner operates. No one can even name the owner of the Baltimore Ravens. No one even knows. You never hear from him, do you? Because they don't do it that way. Why is that so awful? I never hear anyone say, hey, I guess if somebody else wants to give him 12 years and $300 million, give it. But the Ravens don't do business that way. The Ravens are taking out a chart. Everybody, let's do it together. Let's do the product life cycle. That's like page 5 of your textbook. Product life cycle. The product life cycle of a quarterback is not very long. It's not. All the data tells you it's not very long. So don't pay long term. The fact that they turn around and told this guy, hey, 3 years, man, we'll give you $130 million. We expect the world out of you for 3 years. We have no idea what you're going to be like in 4 years, but we don't care. Here, take this. And he's pissed. And everyone in the media business is pissed. You know why the Browns suck? Because they do stupid things. There. You know why the Cardinals suck? They do a lot of stupid things. You know why the Ravens have never really been awful? Even in an industry that's built to make them awful? They don't do stupid things. What's wrong with that? Oh, he's a great player, Jeff. He is. I bet he can be a great player for the next 3 years. You are crazy to project beyond that. You're crazy. It's a mistake. It could be a financial mistake. You could be wrong. He could be Patrick Mahomes, but he's not right now. So you wouldn't make that bet. So just follow this thing and be, I know you're overwhelmed with the dollar amounts. I know. I get that. But think about how this whole thing is working out in a corporate world, and that is, I want what he has, just like the rest of us operate, where I want what she has. And notice how you never once get back to the Ravens. You know who you don't hear? You don't hear Ozzie Newsome, who runs the Ravens. No one even knows his name. He does nothing but make prudent decisions quietly over and over again. And they are now all but being turned into the devil because they won't give this guy what Deshaun Watson got. They won't give this guy what Dak Prescott got. They won't give this guy what Kirk Cousins got. So they're the devil. Stephen A. Smith on ESPN went off on this.
To me, it's not a matter of can he show up to work and play for the Baltimore Ravens. To me, that's not repairing a relationship. If you're stuck with a team, you're stuck with a team. They put the non-exclusive franchise tag with you, which, as far as I'm concerned, has built-in collusion. It basically dissuades other teams from making you an offer because they're confident that the team that you're playing for is going to match it. So why put themselves on Front Street? We all know that that's the situation, and I think Lamar Jackson knows that too. Here's where I'm coming with this. I don't think that he'll ever be happy representing that organization again. That's what I mean when I say my answer to this question is no. Could he show up to work because he has no choice? Sure. Collect the $32 million that the non-exclusive tag gives him? Sure. Show up for his teammates who he's got love for? Yeah. But I don't think that he'll ever have the respect, the affection, or the affinity for the organization that he once enjoyed. That's what my no means. And here's why. Keyshawn, you brought up a negotiation. That's fine. We've all been through it. No doubt about it. There is a difference between not receiving the offer you want and feeling like you've been disrespected. There's a difference. When you feel you've been disrespected, that changes everything, especially when you hold on to it for as long as the Baltimore Ravens has. Look, Kyler Murray, forget Deshaun Watson, that's an outlier. Kyler Murray got $189.5 million guaranteed. According to Lamar Jackson's camp, who called me, they say the most he's been offered in guaranteed dollars was $133 million, which they consider a grave insult. Nearly 6 $60 million less in guaranteed dollars than Kyler Murray. And they said that was the last guaranteed offer that they received.
Right? You get it. Wait. He didn't play last year. Check. Hello, check. He didn't play. You got to show up to work, right? See, you want my money, but you didn't show up to work. And even when we found out you weren't hurt, which, by the way, you were hurt. See, there's the point. You keep getting hurt. Okay? I pay any one of you that operates day to day. You know how it works, right? It's not about trying hard. It's not about the hours put in. It's about production. We live in a production world. That job, they don't care if a Martian is taking the snap. You know what they care about? Production. That's all it is. I promise you, that's all that matters. Feelings don't matter. How hard you try doesn't really matter. It's production. And you know how much production he had last year? Yeah, he missed 11 games. Even after they said, hey, dude, you're healthy enough to play, but you're still not going to play? No, I'm not going to play. Why would I trust a 10-year contract with you? Why? I get why you want my money. I get why you think that Deshaun Watson scammed all of Cleveland. I get why Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals are stupid. We get all of that. But why exactly should we do this right now? Because you were MVP 2 years ago. I get it. He's a talented guy. I need you to show up to work. See, I can't justify the money unless you justify the production. And you don't justify production by not working. Someone would say, I know what someone would say. But Jeff, you got hurt. Yeah, that's my point. See, you run around a bunch. If I hire a player who runs around a bunch, they get hurt. I know that. Every piece of data says you're going to get hurt again. But Jeff, they all get hurt. And I'd pay fewer of them. Right. It's not a long-term lifespan. I'm sorry. I do with Cleveland whatever you want. And the Browns are going to suck always because they're dumb. So it's, I hate to be politically incorrect. I'm not quite sure why there's no appreciation for the other side of this equation. There's money to go around in that business. It's a $100 billion business. They can spend. They don't spend enough. I agree with you. Most players don't make enough. But doing stupid deals, long-term deals, when there's no justification to do long-term, doesn't make it smart to throw the money away. And if he can prove it elsewhere, that's the risk they take. I don't know what's so awful about saying, you know what? I got all we think is 3 years. We may be wrong. And we hate that you're mad at us. And I don't disagree with Stephen A. Smith that it's a terrible relationship, that he's not going to want to play. And you don't want an employee who doesn't want to show up and play. So my job is now, just like Aaron Rodgers, notice how this keeps happening. See, when you get a lot of money, notice what happens. Someone just kind of quits on you. Aaron Rodgers quit. Why would I give him that money again? He didn't show up to work. So you just say, man, if you can get 10 years from the Baltimore Colts, the Indianapolis Colts, go get it. If you can get 10 years out of the Texans, man, I get it. Go ahead. We just can't do business that way.